For centuries, their name was a synonym for terror. But behind the horned Helmetzer myth, by the way lies a story far more complex, a story of genius engineers, intrepid explorers, sophisticated merchants, and profound poets. Today, we're peeling back the layers of legend to uncover the real Vikings, a civilization whose legacy continues to shape our world in ways you might never have imagined. Join us on a journey back in time to an age of sagas, steel, and seafaring. This is the true story of the Vikings. The Viking Age, roughly from the late 8th to the late 11th century, was a period of unprecedented expansion for the Scandinavian peoples. But what drove them from their homes in modern-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden? It wasn't just bloodlust, a combination of factors, including overpopulation, political instability, and a thirst for wealth and glory, pushed them outwards. And they had the perfect tool for the job. The longship. This vessel was a masterpiece of naval engineering. Sleek, fast, and with a shallow draft, it could navigate both the open ocean and shallow rivers, allowing the Vikings to strike deep into the heart of Europe, from the coasts of England to the rivers of Russia. They could appear seemingly out of nowhere, raid a monastery or town, and vanish before a defense could be mounted. This hit-and-run tactic is what forged their fearsome reputation. But raiding was only one part of the Viking story. They were also incredibly skilled traders. Their voyages weren't just for plunder. They were establishing vast trade networks that stretched from North America to the Middle East. They sailed south to Constantinople, the heart of the Byzantine Empire, where they were known as the Varangian Guard, an elite mercenary force for the emperor. They traded furs, amber, and walrus ivory for silks, spices, and silver from the east. In fact, hoards of Arabic silver coins found across Scandinavia are a testament to their far-reaching commercial ties. They founded bustling trading towns like Dublin in Ireland, York in England, and followed the rivers of Eastern Europe to establish the Kievan Rus, the precursor to modern Russia and Ukraine. They were explorers, merchants, and city builders, connecting cultures and economies across the known world. And their spirit of exploration knew no bounds. Long before Columbus, Viking sailors were pushing the boundaries of the Atlantic. Led by figures like Eric the Red, they colonized Iceland and then ventured further west to a vast green land they named, quite cleverly, Greenland. It was Eric's son, Leif Erikson, who would make the most remarkable journey of all. Around the year 1000, he and his crew landed on the shores of what is now Newfoundland, Canada. They called this new land Vinland because of the wild grapes they found there. Archaeological evidence at Lonso Meadows confirms their presence, making them the first Europeans to set foot in the Americas. It was a feat of navigation and courage that wouldn't be repeated for nearly 500 years. Their ability to cross the treacherous North Atlantic in open ships, using little more than the sun, stars, and the flight of birds for guidance, is nothing short of astounding. Back home in Scandinavia, Viking society was far from the barbaric free fall often depicted. It was a complex society with a strong legal system, governed by local assemblies called things. Society was structured with kings and chieftains at the top, followed by free farmers and landowners, called carls, and at the bottom, enslaved people known as thralls. Women in Viking society also enjoyed a degree of freedom and rights unheard of in many other parts of Europe. They could inherit property, run farms when their husbands were away, and even initiate divorce. Strong, capable women, known as shield maidens in legend, were respected figures within their communities. But what about their culture, their beliefs? The Vikings had a rich and powerful mythology, a pantheon of gods and goddesses that still captivates us today. Odin, the all-seeing father who sacrificed an eye for wisdom. These weren't just stories. They were a way of understanding the world, of grappling with concepts like fate, honor, and courage. Their beliefs were passed down orally through epic poems and sagas. Tales of heroic deeds, tragic destinies, and epic battles. They didn't fear death in battle. In fact, to die heroically was the greatest honor, ensuring a place in Valhalla, Odin's great hall. This worldview fueled their warrior spirit and gave them the courage to face incredible odds. The Vikings were also masterful artisans. Their craftsmanship is evident in everything they left behind. Intricate wood carvings on their ships and stave churches. Beautiful and complex metalwork in their jewelry, and finely crafted weapons that were both deadly and works of art. Look at a Viking sword. The patterns forged into the blade weren't just for show. They were a result of a sophisticated technique called pattern welding, which created a blade that was both strong and flexible. They expressed their artistic vision through complex patterns of interlocking animals and flowing lines, a style that is instantly recognizable and uniquely theirs. They even had their own system of writing, the runic alphabet, which they carved into stones to commemorate the dead Mart territory, or even, as some runestones show, to just say Halfdan was here. So, what happened to the Vikings? The end of the Viking Age wasn't a sudden collapse, but a gradual transformation. As they settled in new lands, they assimilated, adopting local customs and religions. A key factor was the spread of Christianity throughout Scandinavia. The new faith brought with it a different worldview, one that clashed with the Old Norse gods and the raiding culture. Viking kings, seeing the political and economic advantages of aligning with Christian Europe, began to convert. By the end of the 11th century, the great Scandinavian kingdoms had become more integrated into the European mainstream. The era of the longship raids was over. The Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066, where the Norwegian king Harald Hardrada was defeated, is often cited as the symbolic end of the Viking Age. But their legacy is everywhere. It's in the languages we speak. Words like sky, leg, window, and even Thursday Thors they come directly from Old Norse. It's in the DNA of millions of people in Britain, Ireland, Russia, and beyond. It's in the place names of countless towns and villages. They reshaped the political map of Europe. laid the foundations for modern nations, and expanded the known world. They were more than just raiders. They were innovators, explorers, artists, and pioneers whose influence has echoed through 1,000 years of history. The image of the savage barbarian is a caricature. The reality is far more fascinating, a dynamic and influential civilization that, for a few hundred years, held the world in its grasp. The age of the Vikings may be over, but their spirit of adventure and discovery lives on. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the world of the Vikings. If you found this as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history. And let us know in the comments which historical civilization you'd like us to explore next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.